Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Positively Trek. My name is Barry. With me, as always, is the illustrious Dan. How are you, Dan?
Not too bad, Barry. How about yourself?
You know, for all the things considered, it is really great to be talking about Star Trek tonight, I gotta say. People in the, I suppose, mostly North American sphere probably know that there's been a teacher strike for the last 3 weeks, and as of today, my charter rights have been violated, and I am being forced back to work tomorrow as a teacher. I'm really excited to see my students again. They rock. They're wonderful human beings who I have actually sincerely missed, and am going to be super excited to see them, and they are always what keep the lid on for this guy, but the circumstances are kind of silly. I just we're in a good place, and I think you and I were saying this that why do we do this? Why do we talk about this stuff when there's all this stuff happening in the world? Well, I can't really speak for any other specific franchise, but Star Trek of all helps us imagine something better, helps us imagine something that I think we can hope and strive for, and ultimately, here's hoping, I guess. Yeah. Hope always dies last, right?
Yeah, well, Star Trek is about an organization that strives to be better. And, if people are kind of wondering a little bit about what's going on in Alberta, we've made international news recently in that Amnesty International has officially condemned the government of Alberta for what it has done to the teachers of this province. So I was so proud when my home province makes international news like that. So
yeah. I have been a member of Amnesty International since I was 17 years old, Dan.
Nice.
And I have written letters around the world to different groups and stuff like that, and a few of my Amnesty buddies are like, "Hey Barry, you can write a letter to yourself now, or you can write a letter to your own government." I'm like,
great.
I cannot compare myself to some of the people that Amnesty have advocated for, some of the groups of people that Amnesty. I think this is purely a statement. What teachers are going through in Alberta is nothing close to what's happening in other parts of the world, I would say. But there's a poem, first they came for the this, and then they came for the that. I do believe that this is, removing democratic rights is the opening of an extremely slippery slope.
Absolutely.
That can get really dark really fast. So, no, it is interesting though to be recognized by an organization I've been a part of for over 20 some odd years. So it's cute.
It's pretty stark, showing of who, in my opinion, and I think rational people's opinion, who is on the right side and the wrong side of this. Your mileage may vary, but yeah. When Amnesty International or, the United Federation of Planets condemns somebody, usually they're on the wrong side. So
yeah, it's a whole thing. So speaking of being condemned by human rights organizations, let's talk about a fellow by the name of Khan Noonien Singh.
Indeed.
So episodes 7 and 8, I Am Marla and Original Sin. So I think we can kind of just maybe, we'll walk through this. You've done a fine recap of both episodes, Dan, and I'm going to steal your thunder and read out some of the pieces you've written, and then we can maybe talk a little bit about this bit by bit. I kind of want to go piece by piece because that's how I listened to these episodes, was I would listen, stop. It's kind of like the Nicorette gum of listening in a lot of cases where I had a lot to take in. And the first thing I'm going to say is the title of episode 7, I Am Marla. I'm like, by the way, spoilers, she's going to die. This is it. This is the end of Marla.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's going to happen because Khan brings it up in the movie, but parting is such sweet sorrow, as would be said by Shakespeare and all the other great authors. They like to quote in these last 2 episodes, especially. So first of all, we start this episode off with Tuvok and Lear, right? Doing their research and everything like that. And so I like this, and I want you to answer me this question, Dan. Who is Dr. Lear really? Who is she? Because we get some interesting revelations here.
I'm going to be honest. I had a theory after episode 7, and I feel like episode 8 is kind of either poked a hole in it or maybe confirmed it. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm a little back and forth on that. I don't know who she is, but she is not all that she claims to be. She has some sort of deep link to Khan and his people and the augments. And after episode 7, I will say my theory was that she is in fact Callie, who has escaped Ceti Alpha 5 somehow and is attempting to learn, more about what actually happened and that sort of thing. Episode 8, spoilers for that as well, I guess. I don't know, like she's old enough to have formed some pretty concrete memories of her time there. So some of the holes in Dr. Lear's knowledge, or at least the holes she purports to have, don't make as much sense anymore. So I don't know. It's taken the wind out of my sails on that theory, but I also wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's still the case.
Can I throw in a little zhuzh to that idea? Because I was thinking
please.
the same thing. She's friends with a psychic named Delmonda. I wonder if he wiped her memory.
Ooh, that could be. So this conversation between Tuvok and Lear.
Yeah.
She reveals some things about how, she got these initial recordings from Delmonda after Delmonda apparently found them in an abandoned ship. And she hasn't heard from Delmonda since, is what she says. Now, it's at this point that Tuvok has, I think, like one of the most badass lines in the show, where he starts talking about how, as a Vulcan, the difficulty we find in lying gives us a certain sensitivity to the lies of others.
Yeah.
And basically says, like, I believe some of what you said might be true, but most of it is essentially BS.
Right?
Basically what he says. And it's like, he says it so matter-of-factly, but it's like such a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
And like, Lear is shook after that.
The way he just was like, that's a lie. You're a liar. Like, that's what he said in much more words. But yeah, for her to just be like, because if someone isn't lying, they can be like, well, no, like, here I am, blah, blah, blah. But she froze.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
She was basically left sputtering.
Yeah. I really appreciated that. That now there's some tension and a little bit of friction. And I mean, Tuvok actually does a pretty good job of being like, but I'll still work with you, like, don't worry about it, and all this sort of stuff. Like, you lied to me. I know you did, but, I was spying on you. So,
yeah, but also like leaves it on a note of, don't be surprised if you continue to notice further intrusions into your privacy about this.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
Tuvok's a badass.
Oh, and Tim Russ's delivery is just, I can just see like the face, like just that kind of tilted head sort of thing that he would do as Tuvok. Beautifully delivered and cutting in its neutrality.
Yeah.
I think, so that was a really good sort of appetizer to start us off as we get to a interesting conversation, right? Marla is expecting her and Khan's daughter, as we find out, and they're going to name her Callie. And Callie is an important god in Indian, I believe, Hindu mythology. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that? I don't know my Hindu stuff quite as well.
So, yeah, the Hindu goddess associated with time, death, and destruction. Although, of course, in our wisdom, Western depictions of her mostly emphasize the latter qualities because we just love to other things and emphasize the negative or what we see as negative, right? So, interesting. Time, death, and destruction is kind of what she's known for or most associated with in Hindu faith.
Yeah. And I feel like the connection to some degree of her naming and their interest in specific romantic authors as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
They bring up Keats, right? Keats goes to Italy because he's dying, I believe, of tuberculosis, so he can live a little bit longer in the better Italian air rather than the big smoke of London kind of thing. And all he talks about is truth and beauty and stuff, and basically how much time he's got left before his inevitable death, right? We've also got Coleridge, who did The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the idea of people lost at sea, someone wearing the albatross of shame, and it's a tragic story of loss and despair. And then we've got the big guy himself, good old Bill Shakespeare, the master of the tragedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, I find it interesting, and again, this goes back to your and my little hobby horse on Dr. Lear. Her favorite play is both As You Like It and The Tempest, which sees someone assume a different role, hiding as someone else. So, again, just going to roll that out there.
No.
I find the conversations between Marla and Khan, though, they are quite loving. They are quite sweet. And again, much like every tragedy, if only Marla would have survived, I do believe that there would have been a lot better things. Though I know we kind of push this into the next episode, I am going to say Khan does rise to the occasion, I feel very much in a lot of ways. But in this moment in time, you really do feel a good sense of parenthood coming upon the both of them. Their choice to name her Kali, I do think, is quite interesting. I think there's a lot more deeper meaning to all of this.
That was one of the things that I appreciated the most about this episode, I think, were those moments between Khan and Marla. And based on what happens in this episode, probably the last little sliver of happiness that might possibly influence Khan in a positive direction. And of course, tragedy, we know that's not going to take yada, yada, yada. But it really... It gives you a glimpse of what could be, and it really is. It's a tragedy, obviously.
Yeah,
that sums it up in one word.
Yeah, but what good are tragedies, I would ask? And this actually, dear listener and viewer, really tragedy makes you see the what if and the if only and all that sort of stuff. But the point is don't look at the characters and go if only them. Think about what you long for those characters and try to make that a reality in your life, right? I think Khan and Marla really wanted to be good parents together. I think they wanted to raise their child as best as possible in a caring and loving environment, despite the circumstances. And you know what? That's something we all can strive for, right? I mean, if parenthood is something we desire, or, whatever you want to say, like the responsibilities of life itself and stuff like that, if you want to strive to something better, then, use the what if and the if onlys and apply those to you, and maybe you'll come out better than Khan did, or maybe you'll also hijack a spaceship and try to kill Captain Kirk twice. Who knows, right?
It's a coin flip, really. Yeah,
really, it's one or the other. Okay, Ivan is caught. He killed one of the Elborians in just horrific cold blood, really relished in the murder, all that gross stuff, very unredeemable character. He's been under the control of Delmonda, and he's brought to Khan, and Khan is going to make these decisions on what to do with Ivan. And he's a little bit vague with Delmonda and stuff like that. Ivan talks to Khan about this, and it kind of bugs me personally. Or what he says about it, where he's like, I followed you and all this sort of stuff, and I was doing reconnaissance and all this. I find Ivan's story as a villain a little bit shallow here, personally. What would you say?
I mean, I don't disagree. I think it is shallow, but it's also familiar. And like, I think maybe not to this extent, but like, I've known people like this, where maybe it is a shallow judgment of them too, that's all they are. But I just, everything he does, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's so predictable. Like I know exactly how he's going to respond to a certain thing. So for example, in this, we have Khan and Delmonda coming together to determine what will be done. And they're opposing philosophies, right? Khan says, where I come from, it's blood for blood.
Yeah.
And Delmonda is more of the, if someone is harmed or someone harms the community, it's up to that community to bring them back in. I just know that, like, if you present that to Ivan, I know how he's going to respond to that. And Khan knows how he's going to respond to that too, which makes it interesting that Khan is like, well, you've convinced me. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. Yeah, I don't buy this.
He's going to do something different too.
Yeah. Because a little bit, you kind of know how Khans are going to respond to that too. And if he doesn't respond in the way you kind of know he's going to respond, he's lying.
Well, exactly. I do think that also there's a certain conceit of human nature that comes out of Ivan. And I think we give that conceit too much play, at least in Western society, that, it is the mighty, it is the strong, it is, weakness, kindness is weakness, those kinds of things. And I mean, Delmonda's response actually, shows up on how in most cases, a lot of societies around the world would deal with misbehavior and stuff like that. I mean, unrepentant murderers and stuff like that used to get taken on, hunting trips in northern indigenous communities, and they would just never come back. But in most of my experience looking sort of anthropologically in my studies as a social studies teacher and stuff, actually rehabilitation is typically a way in which you can deal with people who act outside of societal norms violently, maliciously, and in certain ways to give them a way back in, right? Purely punishing doesn't necessarily always work. So I do like Delmonda's approach, but like you sort of said, but we're dealing with people with some pretty deep human conceits about power and everything else. And I knew immediately that Khan was not interested in what Delmonda had to say. And honestly, I kind of knew how the conversation between Ivan and Ursula was going to go once they started talking. I'm like, yes, now Ivan's going to finally do his amazing takeover. And I am a little bit surprised at Ursula at the start, but seeing how she feels about Khan later, I do understand why she doesn't actually warn him or say anything. I think a lot of people are kind of done with Khan because I think they are starting to see that he is a very, very two-dimensional thinker, that he's kind of got two tracks, and those are it. His responses are actually pretty canned. He's a war machine built for conquest, built for all of those sorts of things. He's not a very strong diplomat. And if it wasn't for people like Marla and Delmonda, I don't think he would have made it very far on this planet at all, actually. I love how he cares for his people, but he doesn't know how to do anything more than show care for them. He's pretty one-track mind.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that, again, I don't know if that's just he has such a rigid mindset about, might makes right, and he is always right about everything. And this whole alliance with Delmonda and all of that, it's frustrating to me knowing where everything's going and kind of wondering how it's going to get there, I guess, a little bit. But at the same time, yeah, it's this lack of three-dimensional thinking, as we have discussed in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, right? And one of the ways that Khan disappointed me in his thinking as well was when he's confronting Ivan, he brings up the attempted takeover in episode 1 by that other guy, right? And Khan is like, wait a minute, did you have something to do with what's his face's death, whose name I can't remember now? Yeah. And I'm like, really? This is the superior intellect? You didn't put that together already? There were several ways it could have gone. Khan either surreptitiously ordered Ivan to do that, or Ivan did it and Khan knew and figured that was probably for the best. Or, least likely of all, I thought, Ivan did that and Khan was completely clueless. apparently I gave Khan too much benefit of the doubt because he was completely clueless about that. And that really surprised me, honestly, that like he had no idea about that.
Yeah, and honestly, as shocking as it would be to Delmonda if I was Khan and Ivan had committed such a horrible, like just merciless, cold-blooded crime, like just cold-bloodedly murdering someone with his bare hands and really liking it, and also given his propensity for extreme violence all of a sudden, and given the situation that they were in. And I mean, this is the thing, is I do see Khan changing his tactic a little bit given the circumstances, right? He is versatile in that respect, and I think he is open to the suggestions of some of the smarter people around him. I, as Khan, would have just walked in with one of those guns they have, and I would have just walked in and just shot and been like, yeah, you know what, Delmonda, he's not worth it. Like, we got a thing to run here, and he's not going to be of any assistance to us. He's clearly shown his inability to do anything right. And I mean, but if you're in a survival situation on a planet far away, all this sort of stuff, the rules change, right? I think there's that idea of like ship at sea, you know, lost at sea kind of thing. You're on a ship full of a few people. Your world becomes very, very small, and your actions become greater because of the smallness of the world you're in. And therefore, you got to take what you see is what you get with people in those respects. And I'm not saying that I would become some vicious, violent murderer, but how I would deal with vicious and violent murderers would be pretty extreme, I think, especially given these circumstances. But Khan also doesn't do that right either, and we'll get into that in just a second. So one thing that also gave me hope, and I know this doesn't do anything to change Khan's mind, but another little chunk of hope was the encounter between the Elborians and the young augments. First of all, the music that was playing is actually a stock techno song that I've heard a couple of times in the past. Same with the punk music that Pablo was listening to earlier as well, but they're really good. I like them. They're good songs.
So interestingly about that, just a little diversion. The song the young augments are listening to, according to, I should say, Chaos Works on Reddit.
Okay.
I'm stealing from your comment wholesale if you happen to be listening. So apparently, it's called Your Touch by Particle House, released in 2021. So there's some thought that like, oh, are we kind of going with the Strange New Worlds changed timeline where they come from later? But maybe somebody on the Enterprise gave them a bunch of more, not modern, but less ancient music. So I think there's more than one explanation there, because this person is saying that, oh, maybe they're going with the tomorrow and tomorrow conceit, and this isn't Khan who came from the 90s. It could still be. There's still a way around that.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
It was fun. And I like that the Elborians enjoyed it. I like their kind of new life encounter to it, of being like, oh, mixing these sounds together is very pleasant. I often like to say that music is decorating time. You can decorate your space with stuff, and you can decorate your time with music. Yeah. And I guess, like, for me, the interactions, especially that Paolo's having, he is such a sweet and lovely character. I really enjoy him. I really enjoy his characterization. I enjoy the type of person he is, his inquisitiveness. Man, he would have made a good Starfleet officer, is all I got to say about that. I tell you. Yeah,
I'm a fan of Paolo for sure. The open-hearted curiosity about the Elborians, and Marla recognizing, what a smart and just open and giving person he is. Like, really the picture of what could be,
And again, it shows that augments aren't necessarily just these programmed killing machines either, right? He shows their propensity for learning, for growth, for humanity. I mean, they're still humans, right? Though they're augments, they're still human beings and capable of all these things. So I do see, the older guard of augments really showing their age here, especially the fact that we can see the Elborians and these young augments, well, young Elborians and young augments really, really taking a shine to one another, as if they could have built their own little society quite easily, I think, in a lot of ways. And what a nifty society, physically extremely capable, and then also mentally extremely capable. Very, very powerful. But if they based their society on love and fellowship and empathy, all that great power would be used responsibly, one could hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Ivan attempts to kill Khan in the just total wrecking ball manner that is totally predictable for every single person listening to this show.
To be fair, he has been drunk for about a week,
yeah,
and continues to be so.
Yeah. In the donkey piss, he refers to it as.
Yeah.
Khan also sees through this, like, instantaneously. Like,
Ivan, do you not think that I recognize a poisoned cup when it is handed to me?
Right? Like,
ooh, great line.
Yeah, come on, Ivan.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid. It's Khan. Like, try something else. Like, seriously. But he also ends up revealing to Ivan what the big plan is before he exiles him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this? Him exiling Ivan. Are there any beats that George Lucas might say rhyme?
Yeah,
that scream.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about the scream, but yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's like poetry; it rhymes, right? Yeah. I can appreciate the irony for sure, and I don't know if Khan is self-aware enough to appreciate the irony, but
well, okay, so you're gonna exile a guy who is kind of dumb and brutish, and that doesn't work out. Sorry, guys, we jumped into episode 8 really quick, and that doesn't work out. So your next plan later, the next time you go head to head with someone, you strand them on Regula 1, someone who is much smarter and who has outsmarted you before. Buried alive. Yeah. Like, come on, Khan. Seriously. Think outside the box, guy.
Oh, man.
So I don't know. I feel like to some degree, as you know, like this very like dramatic music and, you know, all that sort of stuff, to some degree, like I feel like this whole arc about Khan actually makes me think he's not very smart. Like, no. he is not a smart man. Like, he can quote Shakespeare and all of these fun things, but man, he's dumb as a brick. Like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand how to deal with his own people. Stop plot armoring this guy into being the number one villain of the show. Like, I would have taken care of him a lot sooner. So anyway, I guess maybe I am a little like I've really liked this series so far. I'll listen to it again for sure on some long car trips and whatnot. But to me, I feel a little like, seriously, like, he's not that devious. You can just off him. Don't do all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very Bond villainish. I was thinking while watching this or listening to this.
Yeah,
but it's also like it's not a surprise. Like it, and I'm not saying that the writing is bad. I'm really enjoying this. I think the writing is good, and in fact, this is totally keeping it with the Khan that we've seen in other stuff. Like that is how he's defeated at the end of Wrath of Khan, is he doesn't think three-dimensionally. He has like 3 modes and that's about it. And, you know, Kirk made the ship go down a little bit and that's what stopped Khan. Like,
you're not at sea.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, I think this is very consistent with how Khan's been characterized. And it's like, he's so proud of himself that he's pulled one over on Delmonda. Like, but that's it. That's all he has is, I'm pretending to be nice, but I'm really mean. Like, okay, dude.
Yeah. So anyways, I know we've kind of buried the lead on Ivan, and I'm guessing there's going to be some big showdown that's going to happen here, but let's
of
move
course
on.
we do before we dispense with Ivan completely, and I know we don't, but that scream.
Yeah.
Like, so he screams, he does the Khan scream. I guess they had to do it at some point.
Did they?
I guess, but guys, I really hope that's out of your system. We have one episode to go. That's it. Let that be out of your system now. You did it. Cool. Good job. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah, that took me out for like a hot minute.
Yeah, me too. Sadly.
I also, when Dan and I were planning to do this episode, Dan sent the gif of Kirk shouting Khan, and I knew it was a reference to Ivan, or at least I was thinking it was a reference to Ivan. So I chose to leave it on red all the way till now, because I was just like, oh! Dan!
I do think that, like, it's, if you really like think about it and what it does for the ongoing story, I think maybe there's a tiny bit of interest there that when Kirk did it to Khan, he was faking, and like,
yes,
it wasn't genuine. He was play acting. Completely. And in this case, Ivan is genuine. And I find myself, of course, this wasn't written in 1982, but now when I watch Star Trek II, I'll be thinking that in that moment, Khan is flashing back to Ivan screaming it. And maybe now Khan is wondering, like, oh crap, maybe he has some of that realization that we're not giving him credit for here.
Did I just screw up again?
I've made a terrible mistake.
Oh gosh, yeah. I've made a terrible mistake. Oh man. So let's get sad now.
Yes.
The eels are back.
Couldn't you have scanned? Can we scan? Let's try scanning. How about
Paulo
scanning?
has a scanner. He could watch them. He could see them with his scanner.
Oh. They have sensors.
I know they have sensors. I thought she'd get it. Okay. I knew the hot springs were going to kill her. Once they mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that nice thing. Because remember, like, this is also, an exploration thing. It's kind of like a Donner Party style. All the nature is trying to kill you, and it's going to kill you, and it's going to be brutal and horrible and disgusting and terrifying and awful. The eels coming out of the hot springs, just...
Yeah.
I saw it coming.
Yeah, well, the scene beforehand had a very, like, Khan and Marla saying goodbye kind of thing. I was like, oh God. And so she goes into the hot springs, and then, like, even she's yelling out, tell Khan I live here now. And then she's like, I'm never leaving this place. And I was like, oh, is that foreshadowing for, and then she starts screaming, and like, oh yes, it was foreshadowing.
And Joachim had to leave the room so that he couldn't pull her out fast. And oh boy.
Yeah.
I guess for me, what really gets me is the setup on how she dies. We can keep her body alive, the Elborians are able to do, to save Callie, but they can't save Marla. When Callie fully understands, she's 5 in the next episode, so she doesn't fully comprehend that. But man, eventually, if she gets old enough, that's going to have to get explained to her.
Mm-hmm.
That's really dark. Like, super dark. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Not something that... so I think, in parts of this, like, there is some brutality in this series that has happened so far, especially when it comes to these Ceti eels. They are a nasty, nasty creature that really does freak me out and gross me out in a lot of ways. And they did back in the day when I saw the original movie and stuff like that. But man, the body horror that they create. And body horror has been something in Star Trek since its second episode. So, definitely it's not outside of the realm. But wow. Hearing Marla's weak voice, knowing kind of what's happening and everything, it was a sad send-off.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her character.
Absolutely. Once again, sadly, paying kudos to the sound engineers and sound designers and the actors for the actor in particular for bringing that particular scene to life. As visceral and horrible as it was made that way because it feels like you're there and helpless as this is happening. And it's brutal, absolutely brutal.
If I remember correctly, I was folding laundry at the end of the episode and I was listening to it. And when they got to that scene, I just stopped what I was doing. It really was, you're right, visceral is the best word for it. And there's been a lot of visceral moments. This show needs to get some kind of award for its sound engineering because Star Trek's always been known for really good special effects, and they have not skimped whatsoever with the sound engineering here by any stretch.
As always, Positively Trek is brought to you by its Patreon supporters, including Joyce Mirren, Brandy Jacala, Christina DeClercq-Zalagi, John Guppy, Out of Memory, Patrick Carlin, and Ricky Long. If you'd like to support the podcast, visit patreon.com/positivelytrek. You can join at any level and enjoy early access to episodes, ad-free episodes, episode shoutouts, executive producer credits, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/positivelytrek. Thank you so much to those of you supporting us. We truly do appreciate it. And now, back to the show.
So the episode ends on that really, really high note. Nice long pause and the lady singing and stuff like that. And we really jump in episode 8, Original Sin. We go a full 5 years. So, the surface of Ceti Alpha 5 has now been utterly obliterated. It is an inhospitable environment. It's terrible. And they are running out of rations. They are running out of life support in general, right? They can't spend much more time on this, in the caves that they've been living in as long as they have. But we see Khan, I would say, when we first meet him and when he is with, when he's with Kali, his daughter. So Kali is being raised, I think, quite affectionately by Khan and getting a lot of help from Mado, who obviously, I guess, is sort of feeling the loss of her own child in a lot of ways. But I really do see, some lovely fatherly stuff that he is doing for her. He's being kind to her. He's being sweet with her, seemingly like a good father until you find out she's the only one getting full rations. So that favoritism. I mean, again, what father wouldn't favorite his child, right? Like, again, we're dealing with instinct here.
Can I say my favorite thing? And I mean, I know Khan is a terrible person, but the thing that made me smile was in the last episode when Marla was, bringing up poetry and Khan's like, oh, Coleridge again. Like, come on. And then now 5 years later with his daughter, she wants to read Shakespeare and he's like, but Coleridge was your mother's favorite. I really wish you'd foster an appreciation of this. You're not supposed to read for fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And it's a good nod to the fact that he is trying to make his late wife proud. And that is a sweet and good thing, right? It again kind of harkens to the tragedy of everything, right? The fact that we do see this potential for good things, especially with this new life, right? With Kali's birth. I mean, she would have known nothing except for life in the caves, and she seems pretty well adjusted and happy and healthy and all those sorts of things. So, I mean, kudos.
Part of me wonders, and I'm just thinking of this now, one of the last things that Marla says to Khan in the last episode is that her wish for Kali is that she will one day see the stars. And I wonder if like part of Khan's decision making in this episode that we'll get to is born of that and that echoing in his mind, right?
Well, I didn't think the ship wouldn't hold more than 4. I thought this thing was going to be a lot more accommodating. Maybe I just missed that in my listening, but when I found out it was going to hold 4 and that they were going to try to find someone to come and help them, this ship becomes less of a transport to safety and more of a message in a bottle.
Yeah, or a Hail Mary. Right?
Yeah, a bit of a Hail Mary throw. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? They also express how their faster than light travel works. They bend space. Now, I was first like, oh, that's just a cute way of saying they use warp speed, but it's not quite, is it? It's a different kind of physics, I guess.
Yeah, I can't remember what they call it, like a spatial compression drive or something like that. I don't know if that's right, but it was something along those lines. Well,
it harkens for me to Romulan warp cores using black holes. I know that has nothing to do with their warp nacelles. They warp space just like a Federation or any other would. But yeah, like different ways of getting around and stuff like that, I mean, are available and possible, Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think when we find out the original crew is supposed to be Delmonda, Kimura, Joachim, and Paolo, which I think is a good choice. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty solid crew. Khan decides no. And I find it weird, but also not weird, that everyone's just like, oh, yeah, sure. Like 5 years, we're going to have these guys are going to do it. This is how it's going to happen. And then he's like, actually this. And they're like, yes, good idea, Khan. Already there's been people who don't think Khan is worthy of his leadership at this point, Ursula specifically. For him to make that decision and everyone to just say, yes, of course, is a little bit, I'm like, oh, really? Wow, these people are really sheeple, aren't they?
There's an interesting bit in the sound design, though, as well, during that, I noticed. And, like, whenever Khan was making pronouncements, there was, like, I would say a smattering of applause, and it seemed to get smaller every time. Just slightly. When he made that announcement, there was, like, maybe 10 little claps like that. Like, it was interesting. I'd kind of almost like to re-listen to that part again. And I mean, it's very subtle, so I don't know if it was intended to be a kind of linear dropping off of people clapping, but it felt very subdued to me, which was interesting.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess, like, as Ivan mentions that, when alone, the Elborians are actually weaker. And also the fact that as the Elborians are losing members of their community, they're losing their sort of shared psychic ability. And part of me wonders if Khan was able to make such a sweeping choice at that moment, knowing that they're weaker now, so I can kind of do as I will. Now my power is going to make me more able to push and be that kind of a person, right?
To me, the very interesting conversation between Khan and Delmonda afterwards. I really enjoyed the acting of Delmonda during Khan's speech, and how the sound design made it apparent that he wasn't broadcasting it out to everyone. This was like a private, he was forcing his thoughts into Khan's head, and he's basically like, Khan, wait, what? No, Khan, we talked about... What's going on?
Yeah, it's less echoey. It was more narrowed or zoomed in. Definitely.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall as they figured out the exact levels to play with. Say, like, this says broadcasting to everyone. This says I'm whispering in Khan's ear mentally.
Turn the gain down. Well, this sparks a conversation, argument conversation between Delmonda and Khan, which brings up why I wanted to bring up that faster than light travel that the Elborians have been using. This is Kirk's exoneration moment. That there was actually a unfortunate mishap that has allowed things to go the way they have. That yes, Ceti Alpha 6 was gonna be in trouble, but Starfleet's whole setup was fine. They knew the time frames and were correct on those time frames. Spock's idea was sound. Kind of a get out of jail free card for Kirk and Spock and the rest. An unfortunate and strange kind of connection for the Elborians, and also very interesting for Dr. Lear, which again really starts to beg the question for me. But getting back to this, what is Khan's initial response to when Delmonda says, it was my ship that caused it? I will lunge at you and try to kill you.
Yes. Khan's gonna con, guys. Yeah. No, I mean, no surprise there as well. I mean, no surprise in Khan's actions, I should say. It is interesting that the actions of the Elborians, Khan was kind of right about something over the past few episodes, where he keeps questioning, why would you do this for us? What is motivating you to do this? You're going to sacrifice half of your people, potentially. Like, you're going to send them to the other side of the planet in hopes that they'll find food so that you have enough food to feed us and half of your group. Why? And Khan's brain doesn't understand altruism, but that's not all that's at play. There's guilt there as well. For what the Elborians have done. And so Khan was kind of right to be questioning, why would you do this? There was an answer to that. There was a bigger answer than what the Elborians were giving him. And I mean, obviously an accident and all of that, but yeah, it was guilt that was somewhat motivating them to be so altruistic as well.
Which does sort of suck. I was hoping they would just be this like super hyper altruistic group of people. But I mean, at the same time, I would also understand that the Elborians were smart enough to know that if they told the augments right away, that would probably cause the fighting and the death and all that sort of stuff.
The fighting and the death and the glaving.
No, oil with the going, you were there, but here now you offer me to see. Yeah, no, it's oofda. So then we've got little Kali coming in and saying, no, you know, Damanda's my buddy, you can't kill him, and Khan relents, right? And you know what, Dan, they didn't do the extra scream again, and I hope they don't, but they've done another one.
Yes, they've done another one.
That is not necessary, writers. Seriously,
not
stop
necessary.
It. Stop it.
Yeah, and it's kind of clunkily set up a little bit too, where Khan says he thought Delmonda was a friend, and Delmonda replies, I have been and always shall be yours. And I'm like, no, you don't have, no.
Delmonda is not the Spock to Khan's Kirk.
No, certainly not.
By any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, because there's not... That same relationship doesn't exist there. No. Now Delmonda maybe does see Khan as an ally and a friend, but it's not that same relationship that Kirk and Spock have. And that felt a little bit sacrosanct, weirdly enough, that like, I don't know, it felt like a wink and a nod and a nudge in a completely unwarranted situation.
Yeah.
I will say there is one thing that Delmonda says in this scene that I'm curious if it invites further investigation into it, or if it's just, I don't know. So when they are having their argument and Khan is threatening Delmonda, Callie runs in. Delmonda goes to Callie and says, Callie, be not afraid. I'm like, oh, I've heard that phrasing before. That's any time an angel appears in the Old and New Testaments, it's be not afraid, right?
Yeah. And
I was like, this could be just surface level, because there is talk, like he does say we are not gods, blah, 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 blah. I found that very interesting phrasing. And like, that's the only time I've ever heard that phrase said that way. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice by the writers there.
That is a good point. Something I didn't quite catch. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know, like if there is more to be investigated there, I'm not really sure where to start with that, but it was interesting. It pinged my brain a second there.
After this has all come to a conclusion, we find out that Ursula is going to be the new leader of the Augments, which I think is an okay choice. That's really all I'm going to say about that is okay.
Yeah. And as leader of the Augments, it's interesting to me that she will lead them while at the same time she knows that Khan and the other three are never going to return. So her job is basically to sit vigil while they all die of starvation.
Canadian politics joke. She's the Kim Campbell of Ceti Alpha 5.
Oh,
I've been waiting to say that for like a couple hours now.
That is so obscure. Like, I really wish I could use that as a title, but I think I might still.
Ursula is the Kim Campbell of Ceti Alpha 5. And okay, so everybody out there who just went, Canadians included, who just went, what? So in the early 1990s, Brian Mulroney was the Prime Minister of Canada. He was in the late 80s to the early 90s. He was a leader of the Progressive Conservative Party, a federal party at the time. And he was involved in some pretty shady dealings, the Meech Lake Accord, a couple of other things. Long and short of
you're repeating yourself. I think you said conservative. Sorry.
Fair. Anyways, he was really tanking after some gross incompetence and some scandal and all of that sort of stuff, long and short of it. And instead of pilot the sinking ship all the way down, he stepped down, put a lady named Kim Campbell in power as Canada's first female prime minister for the couple of months until the next federal election, to which the Liberal Party won in a landslide and the Progressive Conservative Party ceased to exist. Mm-hmm. So Kim Campbell was literally put in command of a sinking ship. And I feel like she did her best. I don't know what else she could have done other than stand on the bridge and watch the water go above her head. That's pretty much all she got. And she is the first Prime Minister of Canada who was not a male.
Interesting little trivia fact here. As the Toronto Blue Jays are currently in the World Series as we're recording this, who was the Prime Minister the last time the Blue Jays were in the World Series? That would be the Right Honorable Kim Campbell. Weirdly enough, it was during those 3 months. I don't know, randomly that was when we were all glued to our TV sets watching the Jays at the World Series.
Well, that's another little fun fact. Yes, the national bird team is my favorite baseball squadron. Is all I got to say about baseball. I mean, go Jays, sure. I don't know.
I love them. They're thousands of miles away from where I live.
Yeah. And baseball is a sport I understand better than cricket.
But they're slightly on the northern side of the border that all the rest of the teams are on. So
yeah, the Dodgers are playing for approximately 40 million people, and so are the Blue Jays.
We don't have an inferiority complex, I swear.
Not at all. Not at all. Moving on. That was a big, weird digression. Hey, Ivan's back, everybody. What do you know? He lived.
Yeah. Shock?
No.
Surprise?
No. I'm like, oh, you're exiling him. Okay, so he'll be back. He'll be back, and he'll be the problem, and he'll be the bad guy. I mean, yeah. I don't know if he went into withdrawal because I don't think there's any vodka on the surface, but maybe he drank Ceti Alpha eel blood or something and got the same buzz off of it. Who knows?
I will say from episode 8, he had kind of slipped my mind, but episode 9, they randomly have, during the conversation between Ursula and Mado, they're basically talking about Khan's leadership and stuff. And Ursula says something along the lines of there's no opposing Khan. I thought there was at one point before Ivan was exiled. And at that moment I was like, oh yeah, Ivan exiled. Oh, he's back, isn't he?
Yeah. I do think, though, the fact that he encounters Ursula first, given the fact that he gave Ursula his whole plan and she wasn't completely against it, I feel like those two are going to have some kind of power struggle as well. I'm going to guess he's going to kill Ursula, throwing that one out there, because that's Ivan's way, and then he and Khan are going to have to square off in one way, shape, or form. But
Ivan's going to Ivan.
And this is where I actually find that the Excelsior side of the story is actually a lot more interesting to me now.
Yeah, it really it goes in leaps and bounds this week. For sure.
Yeah, it flips quite a bit. So first of all, Tuvok suspects, all these things of what Lear is finding out. She is getting a lot of interesting information. But yes, we have our moment. Kirk is clear. He's good. Jim stays squeaky clean. But at this moment in time, it's also time for the Excelsior to leave. So as Tuvok's understanding is broadening, as we resolve this one piece around Kirk, we now have time shortening, right? We're running out of time to get all of this stuff figured out. And then Lear goes rogue.
So this is interesting because Tuvok has suspicions, basically, but we don't know exactly what he suspects yet, because he orders a scan of the planet because he feels like a ship, the ship has crashed there with this technology aboard. They do the scan, they don't find the ship, and Tuvok kind of says, well, if the ship didn't crash, then that means ... And we don't know. Like, he doesn't really complete that thought. Because, as you said, it's at that moment that there's an unauthorized transport and Lear beams down to the planet. She's panicking. She doesn't have enough time to finish whatever she's trying to ultimately figure out or do here. So it's kind of a big jumble of question marks at the end that has me going like, Tuvok's figured something out, but I don't know what.
Yeah. There's a predictability and an unpredictability. I think we know kind of how this is we know what's going to pan out. We just don't know how it's all going to rattle out now, right? Like, who's going to end up on that ship? Is that ship going to, it's got to take off because Delmonda gets off the planet. He has to. And then the question, and I think we do need to come down, I'm going to come down and do my positively Trek guess, is that Lear is connected as either Callie in disguise or some connection in that respect. But yeah, how does all of this pan out ultimately is the final piece to all of this. This is, I think, where the past story and the present story, I think, are going to really start to converge with each other quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm very eager for episode 9. Yeah, I'm very curious how this is going to all shake out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is a fun series. I mean, we can have our criticisms, and we do, but I don't know. I couldn't make something this good, so
no. I'm
this is
I'm
great.
Enjoying the heck out of this.
Yeah.
If I'm ordering and I don't like to compare things, but if I'm going to order the Star Trek that's come out this year, I think Khan is up there with Strange New Worlds season 3. It's better than some episodes in season 3 and not as good as other episodes in season 3. And then section 31 is somewhere down there a little bit.
It's in the caves.
It's in the caves a little bit. Yeah.
By the eels.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hate section 31 either. It was actually fine. No. Whatever.
I just think Strange New World season 3 and Khan are really excellent.
Yeah. Kind of blew it out of the water.
A little bit.
Yeah. Hot take. I do think now that I've we've been with our group of friends doing a rewatch of season 2. I think season 2 has a little more cohesiveness of Strange New Worlds. But
a little more consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. But season 3 was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And then with Khan, this has been really good too. Honestly, I feel like Star Trek is doing a bit of a gear down right now as a franchise, and we saw it coming. We've known it's been happening. But doing stuff like this, for what it's worth, if any of the people who run the Star Trek franchise ever listen to or have AI just do a quick synopsis of all the crap we spew about the show, it's this sort of stuff that makes Star Trek fresh and cool, right? You can do all your cool special effects and nifty writers and choreographed fight scenes and stuff like that, but nothing beats just a really good story with some good dialogue. Ship in a bottle, my favorite episode of Star Trek takes place in 1950s New York or Los Angeles. I'm suddenly forgetting, right? Far Beyond the Stars. New York?
Yeah, New York.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I screwed that up. I was going to think San Francisco.
Or the Celestial Temple, depending on your point of view, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah. That's actually where it takes place. Yeah, so, I mean, you don't need a lot to make Star Trek good, right? It really comes down to the writing and the characterization and stuff like that. And so, as much as there have been some predictable beats to this story, I mean, I think you're right, Dan. Khan is a predictable bad guy. That's why, right? We know this character well. We've experienced him. And no, I think this has been a really fun ride, and we're coming to the last here. It's coming to an end, winding to a close, and I hope that this sparks more of these moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the biggest continuity question that I have coming up, though,
Continuity?
Exactly. Is when does Khan come across a book of Klingon proverbs?
Yeah.
I want to know where he knows the Klingon proverb from.
It's true.
Revenge is a dish that is best served cold. Which is actually a Sicilian proverb, but he says Klingon.
Well, I mean, maybe he taught Callie Shakespeare in the original Klingon too. Right?
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Problem solved.
Yeah, Admiral Chang. No, good stuff. This is fun, and if you have any pontifications to make about this lovely radio show, dear listener and viewer, you can find us on our Positively Trek Facebook page, which I grace from time to time, and I think that I would like to see more people kind of pontificate on what they think is our crazy theory about Dr. Lear. Is it going to hold some water here, or is that water full of Ceti eels? Let us know.
Stay out of that water. Good God.
Stay out of that water. Oh, stay out of the water.
Marla MacGyvers, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah. Actually, that's another possible title. Marla MacGyvers, stay out of the water. I still like the other one. But anyways.
They're both contenders.
They are both contenders. And with that, we hope everyone has a lovely listening to this episode, or has had a lovely listening to this episode. And as we say always, stay positive.
Positively Trek is produced and edited by me, Dan Gunther, and co-produced by Barry DeFord on Treaty 8 territory, the home of the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people, whose histories, languages, and cultures we respect. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations.